Now, now this part of the video is a little bit more difficult to do, but I'm just going to be brutally honest, mostly with myself anyway. My reasons for wanting to become a data analyst might not be what you would expect, and in this video I'll be discussing 5 brutally honest reasons why I'm transitioning into a career in data analytics. And as the video continues, I'll go a little bit more deeper on my reasons why. One of the most in-demand jobs right now is a data analyst, but despite the fact that it's very high in demand, it's still incredibly difficult to get an opportunity, let alone land a job, especially if you're someone like myself who doesn't have a computer science degree. But after numerous applications and numerous rejections, I haven't given up on my goal of trying to become a data analyst without a computer science degree. And here are my reasons why. So I currently work in an industry that appears to be dying at the moment, and there's been a lot of signs suggesting that it would only be a matter of time before my job may be no more. And in fact, the government have tried on numerous occasions to get rid of my current role, and to be honest with you, it's very disheartening when you constantly keep seeing your job in the news for such reasons. This uncertainty of course leaves my family and I concerned about the future, especially when we have a lot of financial commitments that rely on my salary. So what should I do? Do I just sit back and just hope that the government's plans never come to fruition? No, I have to try and be ahead of the curve and be more strategic about my next move. And it's important that I join an industry that's growing and it's in high demand. And that's the reason why I've decided to transition into a career in data analytics. Data analyst is one of the most high in demand jobs around at the moment because of the amount of data that's been collected every day. Someone is needed to analyze and make sense of all of that data so that it can be used to make strategic business decisions. However, there's a small problem. Despite the increase in demand for data analysts, there's also an increase in competition as well. So I have to keep persevering until I land my first job, and after landing the first one, it gets easier from there, hopefully. Another question that keeps coming up is the role of AI in replacing data analysts, which is a valid concern when you come to think about it. But what job is AI not coming for at the moment? So I'm not going to worry too much about that at this moment in time. For now, I'm actually focused on the positive of AI, which is actually there to make the life of a data analyst much easier. So in a nutshell, one of my many reasons for my shift towards data analytics is my desire to move from an industry that's on a decline to one that's flourishing at the moment. So currently, career-wise, I'll be honest with you, I feel a little bit stuck in my job at the moment where I'm currently not growing or learning anything new. I literally do the same thing each and every single day. And like I mentioned in one of my first videos, when I took on this job, I only wanted to do it for 2 to 3 years, save a little bit of money, and then move on to the next challenge. But fast forward 7 years and counting now, I think I'm still there. And of course, during those 7 years, I have tried to apply for some internal vacancies, but to no success. However, I've learned a valuable lesson about myself in the last year and a half at the time of recording this video. In the past, my approach to job search was to look for a job that paid a decent salary that I knew I could do with the basic skills that I've acquired throughout my career, and I would apply for jobs that I knew I had a good chance of landing. And I always rejected the idea of upskilling myself because in my mind I always thought I had to go back to university to pay a hefty fee to learn new skills that might not even land me a job anyway. And it wasn't until I took a step back, reevaluated my approach towards my career, and I realized that, you know what, I can actually learn and acquire a lot of skills without having to go back to university. I decided to pursue a career in tech through self-learning, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made, even though I haven't landed a job yet. Apart from the fact that I've learned a lot of things that I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I'll be able to learn and understand, the biggest lesson I learned was actually something about myself, and that is the fact that I realized that I'm actually capable of so much more than I give myself credit for. I believe I can do anything that I put my mind to, and I never imagined that one day I'll be capable of doing a lot of the things that I'm able to do now through self-learning. So another reason why I want to become a data analyst, even though there's a lot of competition in that industry, is that it will confirm to me that yes, indeed, I can actually achieve anything that I put my mind to. Now, this part of the video is a little bit more difficult to do, but I'm just going to be brutally honest, mostly with myself anyway. When I changed careers from the banking sector to my current role now in the railway sector, I knew it was a bit of a risky move and it was a very tough decision. And I remember speaking to a few people whether I should go ahead with the switch, and the decision was split. Furthermore, now looking back in hindsight, a lot of the people that I spoke to were actually not experienced professionals, so they mostly just agreed with my decision. I pondered over this change a lot, but I always just told myself, you know what, if it doesn't work out, I can always go back. Furthermore, I worked in retail banking and I could foresee how in a few years, a lot of the branches will start closing down, and I wasn't wrong about that. And with everything moving online, so many branches have had to shut down, including the previous one that I worked at, which was one of the busiest branches and brought in a lot of revenue. And you could see it happening because when I was there, they used to get us to incentivize the customers to sign up for online banking. And I used to think, wait, I'm basically making myself redundant by pushing customers online, because if there's no need for them to come in, then ultimately the branch was just shut down. So I thought, you know what, I might as well just try something new. And I would say to myself, it's not about what you do for a living, it's about what you do with that money that ultimately counts, which is, I mean, true to a certain extent, but I guess I was only just saying that to validate or justify my decision to change careers from trying to climb the corporate ladder to move into a low-skilled position that pays significantly more. But despite the fact that I was on a very terrible salary at the bank, one thing that I always got was respect. People always respected what I did for a living. People would always call me for help, not just around banking and finance, but advice on a variety of subjects, and they respected the advice I gave them. My parents were super proud of what I did for a living and the direction that I was heading, and I always got important roles and responsibilities at church. And when I networked with people, I was taken a little bit more seriously. People were more interested in what I did and wanted to know more. And there were lots of opportunities to grow and develop my skills. But looking back, I was very impatient. And now, working in a job which is more low skilled, although I make significantly more money than I was earning at the bank, when I'm networking, it goes a bit like this. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work at such and such. Oh, okay. And then that's it. The conversation is done. They're not interested in finding out more about what I do. No one really respects what I do. And also, I keep being asked by close family and friends when I'm going to return back to the bank or get a new job voluntarily. I didn't ask them for the advice or anything. They just voluntarily just give me that advice. And in fact, there's also been a few times when customers were not happy with our service and they insulted me by targeting my profession. Oh, you do such and such for a living. I know people that have landed great jobs through simple referrals, the jobs that they did or where they worked. So I've realized that, you know what, I was wrong. And it takes a big man to admit they're wrong. And although it shouldn't be the case, ultimately what you do for a living and the problems that you solve does matter in the eyes of society. The societal prestige attached to your profession plays a significant role in how you're perceived and treated by society, even down to what you wear. You get more respect when you wear a suit than when you wear a tracksuit. Fact. So I believe working in the field of data analytics offers me a pathway to address some of these realities, because the role of a data analyst plays a critical role in business and in decision making. Now, growing up, one of the most challenging things I experienced, and I talked about this in more depth in either my first or second video, so please watch if you haven't already, and that's the fact that I struggled to figure out what career I wanted, and there was no one really in my family to look up to or to ask for help, not a single person. And I think in my entire family, I'm the second person with a university degree, and the first person was my older brother who had just done it just before me. If you grew up in an African home, you know that they only knew a handful of job roles. They only knew about being a doctor, a lawyer, or a pilot. That's it. So I didn't really have any examples when I was growing up in terms of career. All I knew was you work hard and save some money, and that's it. So now, as a family man myself and seeing how rapidly the world is changing at the moment, the real question is, do I want my kids to go through the same thing I'm going through now? And the simple answer is no. I want to get myself to the position where I can help my kids with their career decisions, and they can also see what I'm doing for a living and be proud that, you know what, this is what my dad does for a living, and I wouldn't mind doing what he does for a living. And ultimately, if they want to follow in my footsteps, it will be so much easier for them, because I can show them the courses that they need to do, what steps they need to take, and avoid the mistakes that I made. Because frankly speaking, would I want my kids to go through years of school and be doing what I'm doing for a living? Again, the simple answer is no, because you don't need any formal education at all to do what I'm doing right now anyway. I want them to be much better than I am. So to sum it all up, having navigated the challenges of choosing a career without much family guidance or a clear role model in terms of career, I'm determined to provide a different path for my children. And as the world evolves, I want to equip them with the knowledge and the opportunities to pursue careers that they can be proud of and are relevant to the future. And again, I believe a career in data analytics will help with that. One of the challenges I'm experiencing right now is the fact that my family and I need to move to a bigger place. We're looking to move somewhere outside London where we can get more value for our money. But there's a slight obstacle in the way, which is again my job. Currently, I work shift work and the hours are very irregular. Each day is different. Sometimes I start very early in the morning and finish earlier in the day, and other times I start later in the day and finish very late in the night. So working in London, where there are a lot of transportation options available, it makes it much easier for me to get to work and also to get home after work no matter what time I finish. And I see how difficult it is for some of my colleagues who live further out to get into work and to get home from work. So to combat this issue, I want a job that offers me that flexibility to be able to work no matter where I live in the country, even if I have to go in once or twice in a week, so either hybrid or fully remote. Furthermore, I've been weighing up my options and I'm not sure if my future lies here in the UK. I can see a future where I might move to a different country because the UK right now is very difficult at the moment, and I'll go into more detail in another video in the future. But working as a data analyst will give me a technical skill that I can take with me around the world and land a job, or even work self-employed or even on a freelance basis. And I can't do all of that with my current job at the moment. As you can see throughout this entire video, I haven't really talked about salary once, and that's because although money is also very important, right now as someone looking for an entry level or junior position at the moment, money is not a priority, and it's about getting my foot in the door first, and then we can talk about money later once I've built up some experience. I've made that mistake before where I prioritize the money, and again, I went into a lot more detail in one of my earlier videos, which I'll link above for you if you haven't seen it already, but I don't want to make that same mistake again. The money will eventually come. Let's get that experience first. Now, wanting to become a data analyst is one thing, but actually landing the job is another beast altogether. And despite the fact that I don't have much experience in the field of data analytics and making a career change from a completely different sector, I have been lucky enough to have had a few interview opportunities, but haven't received any job offers yet. Some of these interviews have been very interesting, and in my next video I'm going to go through my worst data analyst interview experience. So see you in the next one.